Welcome back to the Voice of Metal, where we talk about all things metal. Hopefully, you guys are doing great out there. Um, the one thing I'd like to talk about is why I started the channel in the first place again, so that way you guys all know. Like I said before, when hopefully I have a lot more people watching and liking and subscribing to the channel, it will actually add to the crowd basically. Sorry, I was checking my mic for phone. Anyway, like I said before, when I have more like and subscribes, and maybe people that are on here while I'm streaming would help the channel grow, so I can talk to real musicians, real musical artists out there, so that way we can get to know them personally and the reason why they chose to do what they do. Now, just so you know, it's a rather interesting thing because this might change the dynamic of what I'm going for, or maybe not. Depends. There's a topic I'd like to talk to you about, and it's rather interesting. I feel it's something that I just recently discovered or found out through another YouTube video that I've watched, called Tank the Tech, which he likes metal music like I do, and I think he does tech stuff, but it's rather interesting. He was talking about the world's first original AI metal band has arrived. So the way he explained it to people that are on here, it's like the AI for art that people they what they do is they input all these different images into this AI in order to create new art. But the thing is, it's pumping out images that are partially semi closely related to the original. And there's some things that, like, there's like little protection things saying this is like a Shutterbug or whatever watermark on it. So it's pumping those out with that on there, which is rather interesting. And this comes to the fact that what he was talking about with the music, it's kind of doing the same thing, where it's almost a little too much like the original artists when it comes to certain songs. And he had gotten a gentleman that he knows that kind of introduced him to this AI, this new one. And basically, he heard the music before he knew that it was AI. And it's rather interesting. I even tried to share this with a few people I know that like metal to see what the reaction would be, see what they thought of the music, which is really interesting because there's one person I know that's very critiquey of his music and the types of, the bands he listens to. And it's funny. He was saying that I liked the music, it wasn't too bad, but he said it sounds like it's a little heavy on this because the guitarist is kind of like overwhelming the whole entire band. It's like a pre-Madonna kind of thing, which he says a lot of mainly guitarists kind of tend to have that kind of persona, which is rather interesting. He had no idea at all because I wanted to see what his initial reaction would be. Just fine, because I know if anybody's going to give me an honest critique of metal music, would be him, just to see, because I already knew it. I already knew this whole thing was an AI and this, that, and the other. I was pretty impressed with it. It was pretty interesting, but like he said, it was a little heavy on certain things. But then again, also the way this gentleman explained it on his channel about this AI is that when they train this AI to learn different parts of the music. Basically, they go through, you know, chord progressions and all these other things that a musician would normally learn, like drums and other things, all the instruments, right? Then they got to go through all the vocal kind of stuff, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's supposed to be a speech, a linguist. That's what I'm thinking of. Linguist. basically the linguist too, along with that. Now, the one thing which is rather interesting, at the very end, he was talking about that each one of the people in the AI band actually has a persona, a personality per se. So basically, it's not just them playing music, they also have characteristics that make them a specific type of person. And he was talking about some of the rather interesting things. So if you ever get a chance, check out make sure I said his name right, Tank the Tech, on his YouTube channel to find out what his kind of explanation of this was, because he probably does it better than I could. But it's rather interesting the way he was talking about it. It's almost like they had this personality. So they had like certain characteristics, like this person's kind of likes to drink, and it's kind of alcoholic. This one does too. So basically, three of the members of the band are kind of like normal kind of bands. They might have some guys that are heavy drinking. They might drink a lot more than usual. One's a sex addict, I guess is the way he explained it. And I think the other one probably is kind of like what my friend was talking about. The main lead guitarist has a prima donna kind of attitude. Basically, they think they can do no wrong. I mean, it's like I'm the best guitarist ever, and it's not my fault that things are not going right in the band, kind of thing, attitude, I guess, is what it boils down to. And it's rather interesting. So I wanted to check it out myself. Um, the band's name is Frostbite Orkings, I think is how you say it. Orkings. And the song is called Guardians of Time. So this is rather interesting. They have a video with the characters in it. And they even have bios and all this other stuff, likes and dislikes, which is kind of crazy, is the way he's talking. I haven't seen where that's at. I don't know if I have to maybe go to their webpage to find that. I don't know. I haven't done that yet. But it's rather interesting how this whole thing is evolved. But what's different about this AI versus the others is they're actually specifically not gearing it towards a certain type of style, a different type of band, a different type of vocalist. They are just teaching the basics like you would if it was a real band, and having this uh, learning what it needs to learn in order to become what it is, whether it be a band or whatever it is. But I do know, and from what I know of a lot of metal artists out there, a lot of them actually do have some influence from other bands. So you might hear a little bit of something from a certain type of band that you like, or they might go completely opposite of that and make it say, okay, I like this sound, but I want something a little bit different, but I still like this sound. So I guess in a way, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I don't know. So that's the thing. That's where it's one of those iffy things. Is it really going to replace metal artists? I doubt it. I really doubt. Like he was even saying, it's like, you're not going to drop your one favorite band for another new favorite band. You're still going to listen to the old stuff and what they do and the merch and everything else like that. You're not going to just drop somebody for somebody else, right? That's a lot of it. And I have a lot of musical taste. I try to, and plus I'm trying to listen to a lot more out there. So I'm getting a lot bigger spectrum of metal. I'm getting kind of like the old 80s, kind of the how you say, I don't know what they call it. It's kind of high pitched kind of metal kind of thing, I guess is what you call it. And then the deep down grungy, deep vocalists that do it, and even the ones that kind of do more of a popish kind of sound. So and they mix it up with some heavy uh, undertones with it, or even not. So it's really kind of interesting how this plays out. Now, the one thing that's rather interesting is they also talked about What do you do about tours? How do you do that? Holograms? Probably. Or maybe somebody could dress up as the orgs, right? And then they just kind of, pretend like they're like kind of like the Wayne Static thing that Static X is doing right now. It's kind of the same thing. So you have a real person dressed up as like an org, or like Gore. Gore does that already. So it's not super far fetched when it comes to now whether or not. Now, the one thing I will say, and I made this question to a coworker, and it wasn't the person that usually I talk to about metal music, but I kind of share the music with them. I got thinking, okay, okay, they're on tour, right? But the thing is, they're doing a live performance per se. They're not really live, but the one thing is, most musicians, when they go into a studio to record an album, they are recording it over and over and over with their producers and all these different people. They mix it up. They have sound people. They do all these different aspects of this song, right? When they're producing an album. And there's a lot of work that goes into this, because I've seen some of the production on it, and it's not always the easiest thing. And they might have to redo it over and over again to get it just right, to get that feeling or the emotion that they're looking for in that song. Now, the difference between a recording and a live is a lot different. We all know that, especially if you've gone to any number of concerts in your life. And the way I see it is, what about an AI band that's so perfect that they don't make mistakes, they don't make flaws, they don't do this, they don't interact as much? See, that's the key. But the AI is supposed to represent kind of a personality, and they do have a kind of a personality in that. So I don't know how that would play out in a live performance. So that's the drawback, I think, when it comes to live performances with the AI band versus a traditional metal, flesh and blood human being band, which that's where I think that AI cannot compete with. But I could be wrong. It's hard to say. It's one of those things that's rather interesting how we're so used to hearing this perfect sound from a band on the radio and on our CDs and stuff. But when you go to the live performance, there's something about the live performance that's totally different than what you hear in that recording. And you got the personality, you got the persona, you got the energy, you got all the crowd and all this other stuff in the background, all that stuff going on all at one time. You got the lights, all that stuff. So, I doubt that they're gonna be taking over when it comes to music, but it's a cool little option. Plus, also, maybe it might be a good way to produce some sort of new kind of style metal that we've not seen yet, and maybe original, real flesh and blood artists might pick up on and say, "Hey, I like the way that sounds, even though it's an AI. It's kind of unique. It's kind of different. It's something that we've never heard before. I'm going to play that off and say, maybe they get permission to kind of use the feel or the sound that's a little different than traditional metal in some way, shape, or form. You don't know. So it might broaden or open new pathways to music itself. It's like instruments, different types of instruments over the years have progressed, like from guitar to electric guitar to all these different types of instruments that we have. So what's to say this isn't just another instrument to learn and to grow and to expand and go beyond that what we have right now? It's hard to say. But I'd like to know for certain what you guys think about the whole AI, what your feelings are, this, that, and the other. It'd be kind of interesting to see what you guys have to say, because I would definitely love to hear from you guys. Oh, by the way, I had somebody today I was talking to, and I appreciate that very much. I did make a comment in the community page for both him and his friend. I forgot his name offhand, so I apologize. But I did say that in there. I just want you guys to know that if you or anybody else that has a band that's starting off or whatever, a small band, even if you're halfway around the world and you see this video, let me know. I would love to try to have you on here. I'm trying to get somebody kind of local, hopefully, or even a smaller band to get started with. That way I can progress and make, more high say subscribers that want to subscribe to get more views, more audience, the more likely that a bigger band will pick up on that. But it doesn't mean I'm going to ignore the small guys because I think that's important. I know this, like in the Insulter band that I was talking about for Brazil, though he was trying to get a label, this, that, and the other. And I said, what about this record label? I think it's Napalm Records, I think is what I mentioned, or some one of those Nuclear Blast maybe. But he said that some of those guys won't even look at us unless we have a certain amount of following on YouTube. So it's kind of the same thing. And plus that's the reason why I want to do this too, is not only to be a part of knowing the big bands, people behind the scenes, as well as the small bands too. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do. I might have to do a couple different 15-minute episodes or 20-minute episodes, maybe in different parts, whenever those people might be available to talk to. I'm hoping that they'll be available tonight, but usually Friday nights, Saturday nights are not always the best for metal bands, so I might have to do something different. I'll just have to wait and see. Play it by ear. So while you're at it, and before I forget to tell you, and I should have done this sooner, is don't forget to headbang that like and subscribe, because without you, this channel will not exist. And I definitely know for a fact that we all could use this channel or something along these lines in order to, how you say, evolve the small bands with the big bands and the people that are behind it. Even the people who make the shows what they are, the lighting, the sound people, the guys that do the testing of the guitars before the band comes out, that kind of thing. That's what I want to know. It'd be kind of cool. So again, let me know what you guys think of the AI stuff. I will try to put a link when it's done processing the video, and add that link so you guys can hear this AI band, because it's pretty good and it's pretty impressive. I will say that much. Even though I'm kind of, is this going to be the end of that? Because I'm an artist and I like music, so to me it's like one of those things that's kind of impeding on our territory, which as an artist I totally get and I totally understand. But you also got to look at the other way. It's kind of like the whole Pantera thing, about the original band members and this, that, and the other. And that's the reason why also I forgot why I brought up the point that there were other bands out there that don't have any original members in their band at all. But people still love and enjoy the band, right? Because you might not know, I might not know. There's a couple of people in bands that moved to a different band, which I hadn't even had a clue that they are part of. So that's one of those things that people would like to know if they don't know already, like me or you. So we'll talk about that maybe later on. We'll see what happens, and hopefully I get enough views and get things set up to where I can interview people and talk to them live and get to know them as the person. What your likes are, what got you into the industry, what drew you to this type of thing, the band, the instrument, the style that you play, possibly, even just influences of just different metal artists or even classical artists, who knows, because sometimes a lot of people that listen to metal, or band people that are in metal, do listen to classical and some other types of music because they have a broader spectrum of what's around there to make a unique and awesome sounding song. So thanks for watching. Take care. Don't forget, headbang the like and subscribe button to the Voice of Metal, where we talk about all things metal. Take care and have a good night.